Now on KOAM News at 5, some area school districts deal with a shortage of bus drivers.
We're less than 72 hours away from a federal government shutdown as lawmakers work to keep it open. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House with that story as President Biden works to convince skeptical Democrats on his spending plans.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Joplin School District is working to address their bus driver shortage. This is KOAM News at 5. We examine employee shortages in various fields through continuing reports we call Making It Work. Joplin schools have been experiencing a bus driver shortage since the school year began. Because of that, bus routes have been longer than expected for students. Drop-off and pick-off times have been inconsistent, and buses are more crowded. At tonight's Joplin School Board meeting, the district will propose ideas for a plan to hire more drivers.
We've put some options on the table. One of those would be an immediate raise to the base salary for all drivers. We're looking at about $1.50 hike in the raise, which would be very good. Also looking at doing some incentive pay, I guess you'd call it, for drivers.
The Joplin School District says they hope if these new incentives are approved, they can hire more drivers and add up to 5 or 6 more bus routes. Nick Kelly joins us with the first look at the weather.
That's right, Dal, joining you with another quiet look from 7th and Rangeline. We kept things nice and quiet throughout the course of the day again, despite partly to mostly sunny skies in place. We saw temperatures bounce back into the mid and even some upper 80s this go around, but we're thankful that today wasn't quite as windy as yesterday. We still got a light south and southeasterly breeze at times, but our upper level wave spinning across parts of the southern Rockies now is trying to form some thunderstorms out in central and southern parts of Oklahoma, hints that rain chances are about ready to start heading our way. Not for this evening though. Temperatures across the entire region, most of us in the mid to upper 80s, maybe a few spots around 90, say Neodesha, for example, but everyone will fall through the 80s, down through the 70s, and I'm thinking upper 60s for tonight. Down, we'll break down when rain chances will work in and how long they'll be sticking around here in a bit.
See you then. For the second day in a row, Senate Republicans have blocked a procedural step to get to a vote on raising the federal debt limit. Comes as Congress is also staring down a possible shutdown by the end of the week if lawmakers fail to push through a measure to temporarily fund the government through December. Skyler Henry reports from the White House.
President Biden is reaching out to federal lawmakers this week as Congress faces a possible government shutdown Friday and an October 18th deadline to raise the debt limit.
It is imperative that Congress address the debt limit. If not, America would default for the first time in history.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen gave that stark warning on Capitol Hill, a day after Senate Republicans blocked a bill to both suspend the debt ceiling and fund the government through early December.
Object.
Tuesday, Republicans blocked an attempt by Senate Democrats to bring up a clean, simple majority vote on the debt ceiling.
If Democrats want to use fast-track party line processes to spend trillions of dollars and transform the country, they'll have to use the same tool to raise the debt ceiling.
He is totally doing a 180-degree turn from what he has offered time and time again.
The president also continues to push to get a deal on the massive reconciliation bill, holding separate meetings with Senate moderates Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema here at the White House.
They had a constructive meeting, agreed that we're at a pivotal moment, need to continue to work to finalize the path forward.
House Democrats say they're also in talks with Senators Manchin and Sinema over the measure's price tag. Thursday, the House is planning to vote on the roughly $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, despite threats from progressives to withhold support until the reconciliation bill is taken up. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Federal agencies are making contingency plans in case the government shuts down Friday at midnight. The American Federation of Government Employees, the largest union for federal workers, says its members are on edge, with hundreds of thousands set to be impacted financially by a possible shutdown. The Secretary of Defense and top military leaders today testified publicly for the first time since the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. The Pentagon leaders defended the decision to leave at the end of August, saying staying longer would have put U.S. personnel at greater risk. But Generals Mark Milley and Frank McKenzie testified they advised both former President Trump and President Biden that the military should have kept a presence on the ground. North Korea fired a short-range missile into the Sea of Japan today at nearly the same moment its UN diplomat was condemning America's hostile policy against the country. The launch is the third this month. It came just days after the North offered conditional peace talks with South Korea. The latest tests highlight the North's ability to strike U.S. bases in the region, home to 80,000 U.S. troops. The man who killed 5 people at the Capital Gazette newsroom in Maryland is sentenced to more than 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. A jury previously found Jared Ramos criminally responsible for the killing of 5 staff members of the Maryland newspaper. Before announcing the sentence, the judge noted Ramos showed no remorse for the crimes. Still ahead, a truck driver shortage is leading a severe fuel shortage in the UK, which is causing even more problems in that country. And next in Health Watch, a vaccine mandate officially takes effect in New York State, impacting tens of thousands of unvaccinated workers. Topping today's Health Watch, smoking is highly likely to make COVID-19 infections even worse, and it increases the risk of death from the disease. That's according to a study published in the respiratory journal Thorax that looked at more than 1,500 people who tested positive for COVID-19. Researchers found that smokers were 80% more likely to be admitted to the hospital for COVID symptoms. Pfizer sent early testing data on a young children's dose to the FDA this morning and will soon ask for emergency authorization to give it to kids ages 5 to 11. In New York, tens of thousands of medical workers can now be fired if they don't get shots. Reporter Errol Barnett is outside Lenox Hill Hospital in New York City.
The unvaccinated are officially out of time at New York State's medical facilities. With 16% of the state's hospital workers not fully vaccinated, that means more than 83,000 are at risk of termination.
Do you feel then it takes a mandate to get everybody vaccinated?
I do think so.
Stephen Corwin is president and CEO at New York Presbyterian Hospitals, one of the largest systems in the country. Before its own vaccination deadline last week, 30% of staff were unvaccinated. But after the deadline, less than 1% refused the shot and resigned.
So out of 48,000 employees and affiliated physicians, we have less than 220 that have not chosen to get the vaccine.
At Erie County Medical Center in Buffalo, about 5% of the staff, roughly 400 people, are unvaccinated and on leave. Hospital president and CEO Tom Quattrochi.
We stopped elective inpatient surgeries. We stopped some of our outpatient visits. We stopped ICU medical transfers from other referring rural hospitals. We've asked for more time and to work on strategies with the state to ensure that as many people as possible get vaccinated.
At a press conference Monday, Governor Kathy Hochul announced plans to send National Guard troops to short-staffed hospitals like ECMC.
I'm wearing the same exact PPE I've worn the whole pandemic, and it's always kept myself and patients safe. Why has it changed?
Deborah Conrad is a nurse in Western New York suing the state over its vaccine mandate. She's still uncomfortable with getting the shot.
Are you prepared to lose your job?
A career that I've loved for almost 20 years, I am prepared.
Now, it's important to highlight that more than 6 billion vaccine doses have been administered worldwide, so we have overwhelming evidence that these vaccines are safe and effective for most people. Here in New York, its vaccine mandate for education workers goes into effect later this week. Errol Barnett, CBS News, New York.
Eating fruits and veggies can make kids happier. British researchers looked at the association between a better diet and mental health among school children in the UK. The study showed kids who ate 5 or more portions of fruits and vegetables a day had higher scores for mental well-being. But only about a quarter of the children surveyed were eating the recommended number of healthy food servings. More pregnant women have been using cannabis during the pandemic. An analysis of more than 100,000 pregnancies in Northern California found a 25% increase in the rate of cannabis use early in pregnancy. Before the pandemic, 6.75% of pregnant women used cannabis, but that rose to more than 8%. Researchers say pregnant women are more likely to use marijuana if they're depressed, anxious, or have experienced trauma. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, an area school district honors veterans with free admission to sporting events.
But first, we got a quiet evening lined up, but I am tracking thunderstorm chances ready to work back in. Forecast up next. It was nice to keep things quiet once again, but we certainly had to see temperatures warm back up. Fortunately, not as warm as what we saw the other day, where we had highs pushing close to 87, 88 degrees, even a few spots back near 90, especially west of Joplin the other day. After we dropped back in the lower to middle 60s this morning, we've only so far seen Joplin Regional top out in the mid 80s this afternoon. We kept things nice and quiet, but we have been running things a bit on the dry side. There's the latest on the Drought Tracker here. We actually have parts of our area along the Kansas-Oklahoma border underneath a moderate drought, while we're seeing some more abnormally dry conditions popping up elsewhere, mainly along and south of US 54. But we're going to try and eat away at these dry conditions thanks to rain chances ready to work in, and stick with us for the next several days. In the meantime, though, looking quiet, at least from 7th and range line. Mostly sunny up top, 85 degrees with a south breeze at 10, making it feel like 84 thanks to a dew point sitting just below 60 degrees. So warm, sure, but warm and muggy, not by any stretch of the imagination. So this feels comfortable for most spots, even with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. But once you hit about Chanute, Independence, Neodesha, and Newata, yeah, you are sitting right around 90 degrees. But we are going to see these temperatures drop off through the course of the evening. 84 by 6, 72 by 10 o'clock. Ultimately, we will see, despite some cloud cover back on the increase, lows dropping back into the upper 60s to start tomorrow morning out. Cloud cover that's going to increase, not because of anything at the surface. In fact, I still don't see anything at the surface impacting our weather until we get this cold front off to the west to work in here and stick near us as we go into the weekend. It's what's upstairs that's going to start dragging in some changes. This upper low that was parked over the desert southwest is now parked over Colorado. That's going to send some moisture, already resulting in some rain and storms across the Texas-Oklahoma border. That's the start of our rain chances that'll be working in as we go into tomorrow. But could it be an issue for the morning drive? Let's find out with your Super Track, make that future track forecast here. We're keeping things quiet during the overnight for the most part, despite cloud cover back on the increase. But by 6:30, 7 a.m., the future track wants to try and fire off some isolated showers. So we'll just keep that in mind as we drop back into the upper 60s first thing in the morning. Then I think with the upper low in gear, future track has the right idea of scattered storms to start the afternoon out. But I want to hold on to these scattered thunderstorm chances as we go into the rest of the afternoon. Now, not to mention with mostly cloudy skies eventually becoming the norm by the afternoon, it's going to result in another drop in temperature. 68 in the morning, 78 by noon, and afternoon highs around 83. Might see a little bit of a break in the action Wednesday evening, but by Thursday morning, the rain chances pick back up, and we'll definitely see a better shot for rain and thunderstorms as we go into Thursday. And let's get used to these rain chances for a little bit, because look at Friday, Saturday, and even going into Sunday. These rain chances want to hold steady before we get a chance to dry out on Monday. So the latest I'm seeing things here, probably not enough to clear the entire area of any dryness, but half an inch to almost 2 inches of rain, certainly possible by the time we start drying out on Sunday. And then we'll get a break in the action on Monday before some slight rain chances roll back in on Tuesday. And we'll take these rain chances too, Dow, because this will definitely help us out with temperatures. Let's go 83 tomorrow, near 80 Thursday and Friday. Looking at upper 70s for Saturday and Sunday, and not looking bad for Monday with highs near 76.
Yeah, help us with the temperatures, and it is kind of dry out there. We could use the rain for sure.
Yeah, we'll take anything we can get.
Thanks, Nick. Local veterans will no longer need to pay to attend sporting events at McDonald County schools. The district is offering veterans free admission through what they're calling the Veteran Pass. The pass is available to both current and former service members. It can be picked up at the McDonald County High School front office or the McDonald County School District Central Office in Anderson.
I was thinking from an athletic department standpoint, what better way to honor them than let them in free to our games. And, you know, that's just a token of thanks to our men and women of service. And, you know, that's just a small way of saying thank you for their service.
To get a veteran pass, you'll have to show proof of military service and identification, and the pass will have to be renewed every year. Coming up, the World Bank puts out a warning about the global economy. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Adam Twinter joined the U.S. Marine Corps in 2007. The Lamar, Missouri native was stationed in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we salute Corporal Adam Twinter, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, a warning from the World Bank about the global economy. The financial institution says the pandemic will do lasting damage to economies across the globe if the coronavirus persists. The World Bank says the divide between East Asia and the Western world will grow larger, with the exception of China. The bank is calling for policy action to curb the damage and to avert deeper disparities. The British Army is on alert to help respond to a severe fuel shortage there. Gas stations all across the UK are running dry because there are not enough truck drivers to deliver supplies. Other industries are also affected, and panic buying is making the problem worse. Reporter Holly Williams is in London, where it's easy to see how this is unfolding.
It's an extraordinary sight in one of the wealthiest countries in the world.
Well, I knew it would be like this, and I don't think it's going to get any better because all the pumps have run dry now.
Panic buying has set in. The famous British stiff upper lip is quivering. Tempers are flaring.
I've been here ages, mate.
The problem is truck drivers, a shortage of around 100,000 of them. And it's affecting everything from supermarket shelves to healthcare workers who may struggle to get to work. Experts say it's a perfect storm. Since the UK left the European Union, known as Brexit, it's been harder for many foreign workers to come here. The pandemic encouraged others to return home and left a backlog of trucking licence applications. Mark Corker runs a traditional English pub where the unthinkable has happened. The beer supply has become unstable.
So there are some days when the beer just doesn't arrive that you've ordered from the depot?
Yeah, from our supplier, yeah.
He also has a chronic staff shortage. He says his workers used to come to London from across Europe.
And they're not anymore?
They're not. I haven't had a single applicant who isn't English.
As the holiday season draws near, business leaders say Christmas this year may be bleak.
What is the worst case scenario?
Well, it's disruption for customers in shops. It means that the items they want to get, be it turkeys or toys, just might not be available when they want it.
The UK government says it's issuing 5,000 temporary visas for foreign truck drivers. Business leaders here say that simply won't be enough. Holly Williams, CBS News, London.
Pfizer says it's testing a new pill that could help keep the coronavirus at bay if a close contact, such as a family member, gets sick. Pfizer says it plans to enroll more than 2,000 people in a trial to test a drug combination that would also entail use of an HIV drug. People participating in the trial will either get the treatment or a placebo twice a day for 5 to 10 days. Results from the study are expected by the end of the year. Status update: Facebook is delaying its Instagram for Kids after getting pushback. The social media giant says it plans to work with parents and lawmakers to listen to their concerns. Earlier this month, the Wall Street Journal reported Facebook was aware that the use of Instagram by some teens led to mental health issues and anxiety. A final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more about a bus driver shortage affecting area school districts. Plus, a couple from Springfield plead guilty for their roles in the riot at the U.S. Capitol in January. And Pitt State hosts an exhibit on books that have been banned by some high schools. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Another warm but overall pleasant evening out there, Nick.
Before we see some major changes rolling starting tomorrow and possibly tomorrow morning, Dell. Like you said, we're quiet this evening, with lows dropping back to about 68 or so. We'll go to 83 tomorrow, cooler because of not only more clouds, but rain chances picking up throughout the day. And those rain chances stick with us through the weekend, but that will ultimately send us back into the upper 70s to near 80 as we head toward the weekend.
I'm liking the sound of that. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.